AROGUNDADE. Thank you for joining me on The Big Issue.
Thank you for having me.
First, I'd like to begin, Your Lordship, the Osrc media group would like to empathize with the church at a time like this. We can only hope that we never experience this again.
Yeah, that's what we pray for too. We ask Almighty God to save us and to grant peace that we deserve to every human person, not just Nigerians alone, but everyone deserves peace.
All right. Conventional and social media alike was actually awash with various versions of what transpired on Sunday at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo. I know this might be painful for you to recount, but can you share with us what really transpired?
Well, the facts have been conflicting, but the real situation that I found when I arrived, by the way, the first call I got was at 12:16, just about 15 minutes when the incidents took place.
Okay.
And what I heard first was a bomb blast. It was a bomb blast. So I was quickly taken aback and called some of the security people that I know and some of the police station in Owo and other places. And then more information started to come in that it was just a clear massacre, killings and shooting and all kinds of situations. And I was told that many are dead, that many were dead. So I immediately got into my car and drove down. What I saw was beyond belief. What I saw was beyond anything any right-thinking human being will ever expect. That a human being will go out of his way to commit that kind of evil is beyond my imagination. So, well, immediately we set out to work and we brought in all the securities. By this time, the governor has given me a call from Abuja that is on his way, and then some of the government officials were all over running here and there looking for how to respond to the attack. So getting there was a kind of shock. My first reaction was a great shock to see such level of destruction, such level of inhuman behavior, a kind of evil that one cannot even begin to explain. So that was how I got there, and then we started to look for all the doctors, call St. Louis Hospital, call FMC, and everybody, ambulance came in, and we're taking everybody to the hospital. And later came to take the bodies away to the morgues. The one in Catholic Hospital and the one in Federal Medical Center. So those were the two places we put the dead, but as I'm talking to you, many are still going through surgery. The Catholic Hospital did about 4 surgery because they are trying to extract bullets from delicate part of the body. A bullet was extracted from somebody's chest. He survived. So those are some of the miracles that people are not talking about. And so on, bullets from the head, all parts of the body, children killed, babies. This is why the entire situation looks so unbelievable to me and to every right-thinking person.
Many consequential voices in Nigeria have berated this attack on innocent worshippers in the Catholic Church. People who only wanted to fulfill their religious beliefs by worshipping their God. Many have described this attack as one too many, especially against the Catholic Church, as there have been many cases of priests being abducted, churches, bands, etc. What's your view on this matter, Your Lordship?
Well, I mean, people know that the Catholic Church is universal. It's still the strongest single church in the world. And the Catholic Church is a church, and it's also a government in its own right. So it's the most organized of all the churches, and if I'm not mistaken, it's still the strongest. So people just want to make news. People want to break our resolve. They want to intimidate us, but the church is very used to persecution. That is part of our history. In fact, Jesus Christ himself was persecuted, was crucified, was killed, and that has been our history. So we are not new to this kind of attacks. What I just want to say is this, that this very one is one too many, as you said in your opening remarks. But in a nation where you have a government, you think that that will be at the center of everything, and the government will be out there looking for how to punish culprits, looking for how to use intelligence to fish out the sponsors, because nobody wakes up and just carry out this kind of attacks. There are sponsors, there are cells, terrorist cells here and there. So in any organized situation, you expect the government to be proactive and try to disrupt all their cells and look for sponsors, arrest them, and punish them. But to this day, we have not seen anyone punished. People are taken into prison, of course. And what we hear is rehabilitation. In this kind of situation, you don't begin to rehabilitate such hardened criminals. You put them away for good. This is what people do. So that is why it's so clear to us now, after this incident, that the government is not serious, especially the federal government. The federal government is playing dumb, as Americans will say. They are playing dumb. You can play dumb in this kind of situation, as if the government can no longer recognize its rights from its left. No, nobody accepts that. We know when government is serious, and we know when government is playing games. And this is what, and playing games is what this is about. Let the government just tell us their position about these attacks, because many people have spoken, and some of the very clear messages we are getting from those who are bold and could confront the system are telling us that government is complacent. And they have not come. They have not come to deny that. Just about 2 years ago, the spokesman of the government came out publicly to say, if you do not give up your land, the killing will continue. He said it on the national television, and the whole nation heard it. So we don't know what government policy about Ruga, about cattle colonies, or waterways, or grazing routes. All these that the government have tried to impose on the people, and the people have resisted, is the bottom line of what is going on, and government has to. That is why I'm putting this attack squarely at the feet of the federal government. I have no qualms. Many of my members are dead, so death now is no longer even an issue. So the government have to tell us if they still want us to live in this country, if they still want the Christians to survive in this country. If they want to wipe us away, they should tell us clearly so that we know how to defend ourselves. After this attack, I think we have been engaged, and we do everything within our power to stand firm and to resist anyone who comes to attack us. We hope that the government does their job. We hope the government does its job. It is its job to protect the people. So this is how I feel.
Okay, you said if the government doesn't want Christians in the country anymore, they should make it known. Are you saying religious intolerance, which is on the rise in Nigeria and has claimed, and unfortunately still claiming lives of Christians, especially on the issue of blasphemous utterances? Do you think there's a connection between this and the attack against churches?
Well, again, I don't know the connection, but we have not blasphemed anybody. We respect every religion. There may be individuals who are going beyond boundaries and to do things that are not acceptable. I won't want my religion, my faith to be blasphemed. Neither will I ever blaspheme anybody's religion. So, but taking laws into your hands in a democracy, and people are being killed, and people are being given mob, lynched in a country where there is government, and no clear response has come from the government, then you begin to wonder, what is this? This is not Nigeria that we grew up in. How did we suddenly become so intolerant? People have said it again and again. If you want to talk about this government and their policies and the way they have carried on, they have divided this country along ethnic groups, along religious groups, along all kinds of things. And they know it. That is why the policy we are talking about that the government has been running, those policies are not the kind of policy that will unite us. How do you want the indigenous Nigerians, the indigenous people of Nigeria, to give up their land to accommodate foreign fighters, foreign terrorists, herdsmen, whom we know to be very violent? People are resisting it because land for us is the identity of the people. When you ask them to give up their land, we are asking them to give up their identity. So this is the situation. We voted for this government anyway. This is a democracy. How can you put a government in power and they turn around to commit to be complacent in this kind of situation? So this is what I'm talking about. This is what everybody is saying, and they know it. And it's not just me saying it. This is the common view of our people.
Okay, you mentioned earlier that you, as well as many other consequential voices, are alleging the complicity of the federal government. Like the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has protested the killing of these worshippers. They displayed placards with inscriptions like, "Stop persecuting the Christians," "Don't play politics with our lives," "Stop killing Christians," and "Address insecurity in Nigeria urgently." How realistic is this allegation?
Yes, well, the government have to clear its name. And I don't even think they are ready. They are just, behaving as if this is no issue. That's how they are taking it. I appeal to the international community to pose a clear question to the Nigerian government so that at least those who can hold the government accountable, it seems that we citizens can no longer hold our government accountable in this issue. So the other nations and leaders of other nations who are able to hold our government accountable should ask the clear questions. We have written to different countries. We have spoken to people, to the international media, asking them to please call the Nigerian government and ask what is this about, what this is about. I've heard so many reactions from other parts of the world, including Iran, and spoke out clearly that this is unacceptable. So, and they are Muslim countries, and Muslims and Christians have lived together in this country for so many years. How do we suddenly woke up and began to be at each other's throat, and even not even being at each other's throat, but Christians are being attacked, and Muslims are screaming and screaming that this is not even acceptable? The Sultan of Sokoto also spoke up that this is not acceptable. But who is doing this? The government cannot claim that they don't know them, call them, and punish them, and let us see that justice is being done. Christian persecution in Nigeria is very clear, is very real, and the government cannot deny it. They claim that other people are being attacked too, but that is bull. That is not acceptable. That is even a way of explaining the situation away, and turning the eye from the truth, from the reality. So this is what is going on presently, and I feel strongly that somebody must speak to this government. And those Christians who are in the government, what are you still doing? I mean, is it that the president and some of the cabals who are already in charge of Nigeria today are too powerful to be confronted by the other Christians in the government? I hope they are not selling out their brothers and sisters in the Christian faith. Okay. This is what I see.
All right. There are lots of conspiracy theories making the rounds following the Dastardly Act. But as the popular saying alludes, there's no smoke without fire. One of such theories is that the attack was a direct affront on the psyche of the governor of Ondo State, Arogundade's, who has been quite unequivocal in demanding true federalism in his capacity as a chairman Southwest Governors Forum and the entire Southern Governors Forum, has vilified in anti-open grazing law, establishment of Amotekun Corps, and the demand for power shift to the South come 2023. In all of these postulations, could there be some elements which could provide clues for investigators to identify and apprehend the fleeing perpetrators?
If the investigators are serious about their job, they know what to do. They know what is the cause. They know what is at the bottom of this attack. Well, the governor has been outspoken. Everybody needs to be outspoken at this time of our history. You do not allow criminals to come into your state to disrupt the peace of your state. So he's doing his job. If he's raising the Amotekun to protect the forest, to protect the citizens, the dwellers or inhabitants of Ondo State, he's doing his job. So nobody should want to punish him or to discredit him for that. If he's fighting for political relevance for his people, he's doing his job. Also, we should just sit down and give up ourselves to some group of people who feel that they have rights and the obligation to dominate other parts of the country. My goodness, we are not all locals in this country. We are co-owners. We are citizens of this nation, and no one should feel superior or above the law over the other. So this is what I'm saying. Anybody who did this thinking that he wants to make the governor unpopular or he wants to disgrace or treat the governor, that person must be out of his mind. Because, my goodness, the role of the government, the role of politics, the role of is to make sure that there is peace, there is tranquility, there is growth, there is equality within the system. So I'm not going to go into political statements or anything, but you know what? This country, there's an arrangement, unspoken and unwritten arrangement, how things have worked so well in the past. For anybody to be attempting to change it now and use violence or intimidation, such people should be brought to book. Those violence and intimidation are against the constitution and law of our nation. Let the laws be applied. The governor didn't go out there with his soldiers to kill anybody. He put the security men in place to protect his state. So it is those who want to intimidate and enslave the people of this state or that part of Yoruba land or even the South as a whole. Those people should be called to order.
Okay.
And there's a way of doing it. Okay?
Okay. Let's take a look at the ancient town of Owo as the epicenter of the entire scenario once again. We have witnessed the influx of illegal gold miners in not too distant past. Moreover, a couple of weeks ago, before the church attack, an expatriate construction worker was kidnapped in broad daylight alongside his driver. I suppose just as a military officer protecting him was murdered in cold blood. Earlier, a farmer was abducted on his farm, and don't forget, a bullion van had much earlier been ambushed on the highway at Owo Junction. Could it be said that these terror groups have infiltrated the southwest and Owo is their nestling ground?
Well, if the government knows that with all this, all that you have counted, some of which I'm not even aware, if all these are happening in Owo, why has the federal government not intervened and clear it? Why they have left it to fester to the point of attacking a church? Who is behind all this? These are the questions everybody is asking. I've asked the international community. I've told even the Holy Father before. I've told the whole world to call Nigerian government. You know, Nigeria is a regional power. Nigeria has gone to all kinds of international engagements and have performed so beautifully well and with clear records, so that we cannot even defend our own local issue. Who is playing this politics? Who is playing this kind of dirty politics? So we Nigeria have no right to now ask who is behind this, who is playing this politics. This is what I'm talking about. You don't come to kill innocent people, those who have nothing to do with anything, who are just living their life. All they wanted is to do their legitimate business and to have peace in their community. Nobody goes to obstruct or disrupt such people's life in anywhere in the world. Government protects such people because such people makes up a beautiful nation. Whatever is the agenda of this group of people, which we feel is being supported by the power that be, they should let us know. It is time to talk. I said that to the governor when the chairman of the Governors Forum of Nigeria came to visit me. I asked that question. Is it not time for us to sit down and talk and say this is not acceptable? Already, some of the radical ones among us are already calling for separation, breakup of Nigeria. Because nobody is going to sit down and watch family members killed and properties destroyed, and you expect them to just sit down and be looking. They have to arm themselves and defend themselves. Since the government have shown that they are not fair, that they are partial in the present situation. And I want all Nigerians, wherever you are, those in diaspora, wherever you may be, whatever influence you have, to let the whole world know that what is going on in Nigeria has a trait of government participation, government's own inaction. Government cannot afford to be playing dumb in this kind of situation. You can't, anyway, this is how I feel.
We are not calling for people to carry arms. No, that's what we were saying, because we will not want to encourage that. All right, finally, before I let you go, security forces say they have ordered a forensic investigation into the attack to investigate the actual or remote causes and for the immediate arrest of the assailants, as all hands are on deck to forestall any similar attack in any part of the state and in fact the country at large. Do you foresee this happening, as there are many other victims who have suffered similar fate and are yet to actually get justice?
nobody trusts the government anymore. And when the people no longer trust their government, the government is finished. The government today in Nigeria, government is no longer a relevant part of the life of the people. So government is not relevant. It's not useful. It's a useless government. When the government cannot do the primary duty to carry out what they ought to carry out, especially the protection of people's life, the government loses its legitimacy. And that is what is happening. So when you say government said this and that and what you just read, for me, it's a way of saving face. It's a way of let them do it in reality. Let them do it. Do I have to teach the government? Do they have to say it? Let the different organs of government get at work and carry out and arrest people and see them brought to justice. It is then that the people can begin to believe them. In this kind of situation, the people no longer believe their government. And unfortunately, the government is carrying on that way as if they have sort of kidnapped their own citizens and then oppress them and silence them in order to be able to carry out their own agenda, and whatever that agenda is. Every government protects its citizen, but our own Nigerian government exposes its citizen to criminals, to even external forces. And government policy in the past 4, 5, 6 years have shown that government itself cannot wash its hands clean in what is going on in Nigeria today. I mean, you want me to start counting all those policies? I can count them for you. Why would the government, who knows that people are infiltrating this country, now give them the authority to come in without much screening, and make a policy that will allow people to come into this country? What are they looking for? What is this? What is beyond all this? Is it how the House of the National Assembly has spoken out? The Senate has spoken out. Individuals have cried. I even saw somebody crying at the floor of the Senate. Yet, it's as if the federal government is just, and those who are now trying to defend their own people, it is then that the government will show how powerful it is. If the eastern part of the country, people are coming out to defend their own people, then government should understand why they are doing that. So Nigerian government is playing games. And people are speaking up, but they are not even ready. I think they have made up their mind about what it is. There are many have gone to other parts of the world. Please, whatever influence you have wherever you are, use it to compel Nigerian government to do the right thing. And it's already leading to death, close to genocide in Nigerian society. Do you realize what has happened in southern Kaduna? How even villages have been sacked, and those villages have been taken over by criminals, and those that wants to settle in the land of indigenous Nigerians. You don't bring settlers from other part of the country to sack the indigenous people. That is what is going on.
I have been speaking with the Bishop of the Catholic Diocese of Ondo, Most Reverend Dr. JUDE AROGUNDADE. Thank you so much for sharing your perspectives with me on the Owo attack. Many thanks to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you for giving me this opportunity.
Please join me again after the break for a deeper look into our focus for today.
Here is news update. I'm Olatomiwa Donald Falayi. On
State's Governor, has insisted that his administration would never compromise the anti-open grazing law, no matter whose ox is gored. Akademi received a delegation of the Yoruba socio-cultural group Afenifere of a gun attack in Owo, said the security and welfare of the people will always attract priority. The governor also paid host to the leadership of the development agenda for Western Nigeria Dawn Commission and craved their support for the restructuring of the country. Governor of Owo State said he would soon call an expanded security meeting in the state, which would include traditional rulers, to strategize on how to prevent attacks on communities in the state. He made the statement at the inauguration of a new hall built by the Badon Southwest Traditional Rulers Council led by former Governor Rashidi Ladoja. He explained that it became necessary following the massacre of worshippers by some gunmen at the St. Francis Catholic Church or in Ondo State. Makinde said those who attacked or could not have arrived in the town on the day they launched the attack, saying they probably had been in the town to survey and plan on how to unleash terror on the innocent people. The Inspector General of Police Usman Baba says 17,374 police personnel will be deployed to provide security cover for the June 18 governorship election in Ekiti State. Baba disclosed that this is apart from personnel from the National Security and Civil Defense Corps and other security agencies. The police boss who spoke with newsmen at the presidential villa in Abuja assured of the force's commitment to adequate security before, during and after the elections. The international market in the Ojo area of Lagos State shut down operations to mobilize traders in the market to register or get their permanent voters card to enable them vote in the forthcoming elections in Nigeria. It was gathered that during the exercise, the traders visited Ojo local government area, which was the venue for the registration. The registration was said to be ongoing when the registrant became frustrated by the availability of a single registration terminal. The Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities and Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions, Academic Staff Union of Universities, and Academic Staff Union of Polytechnics have described the suspension of all human activities in Edo State's institutions of higher learning by the Edo State government as a lawless and undemocratic act. It was reported that the state government took the decision following protest by students of Andos Ali University Ekpoma over the long strike by ASU and other unions in this institution. Speaking in an interview with newsman, Sana's national president, Mr. Ibrahim Mohammed, said it was not within the powers of the state government to prescribe the union's activities. And that's it. News update. Let's go back to the big issue. Hello, welcome back. Thank you for rejoining us. It is the big issue on OSRC TV, and our lead discussant, Most Reverend JUDE AROGUNDADE, has been speaking on the recent Owo attack. We can only hope and say that we wish we will never see a repeat of that event, that unfortunate event. On this session of the program, we're still looking at this particular issue, and we're going to be expanding some of the issues that have been raised by our lead discussant. My panelists for today, I have Babatope Okeowo. Thank you very much for being here once again.
Thank you for having me.
And as well as Daisy Adetarami. Incidentally, you're both journalists, so it's great to have you join me today.
I am glad to be here today. Thank you for having me here.
Great. It's so unfortunate. What was your first thought when the news broke about this attack on the Catholic Church?
It was on Sunday morning. I got to the press center, and one of my colleagues said, what is happening? I said, what? He said, there was a bomb blast in Owo. I said, bomb blast? How? Where? He said, it was in the church. I said, no, it wasn't possible. How? Disbelief to reality. By the time we woke up from our consciousness, it was a huge story on our hand. So it was not something good to write home about. We've been hearing stories of attack, bomb blasts, dynamite being used. It has never been so close like this. Not that it has not been so close. We've seen armed robbery attack on banks. We have reported this on many occasions. But that some set of people who enter church, doing service, and open fire.
As sacred as it is.
And open fire on people. We've never reported such incidents in this state.
You mentioned that when you first said it was disbelief, total disbelief. That brings to bear this issue that we're still facing in Nigeria, the issue of fake news. You said you heard a bomb blast. There were different reports in both the conventional and the social media. Variant, versions here and there, all over the place. How do we begin to address this issue of fake news? Because even with the professional journalists, it seems no thorough work is ever done in terms of investigations to actually find out what occurred before reportage. It's more like it's about who breaks the news first.
You see, like we have said, it's a big problem on our hands. Because once you have an Android phone now, you see yourself as journalist. You see yourself as a journalist. Whereas it is not like that. To be a journalist, you need to be trained. There's a wide difference between being a blogger or being a journalist. Although journalists can be a blogger, you see the difference. But we have a situation where somebody will just break a story on his page on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, all these social media platforms. So it has made the job of conventional journalists very difficult. And unfortunately, they are not censored. I mean, these social media, they are not censored. You can't punish them for spreading fake news. Unlike if somebody comes out with fake news on any conventional media, that person has lost his job or her job already.
But we also had cases where bomb blasts were,
The question you raised is about fake news. And when this thing happened, nobody reported bomb blasts because we weren't sure yet. I was just telling you.
Some actually reported that.
No, nobody reported it from all the national dailies. But we had a blast. Nobody said it was a bomb blast. So it was a dynamite that they used on the. So what I'm saying in essence is that the relevant government agencies must do something about checking the incessant incidents of allowing fake news to thrive.
All right, let me come to you, Dyson.
This incident has brought to the fore again the dilemma that the conventional media is facing from the unconventional media, that is the new media, as it were. And I believe this is one of the problems and challenges that the conventional media has to face about the liberalization of the information superhighway, as I want to see it. Just like he rightly mentioned, anybody with an Android phone now automatically sees himself as an information manager or a journalist, which ought not to be. But the reality on ground now is such that it will be extremely very difficult for any authority to come out with any measure to say that they want to regulate that. They cannot, because the world over, that is what obtains. It's only that in different other societies, there is this personal responsibility on the part of the citizenry about what to post and what not to post. So it has to do with your sense of responsibility, which we are not seeing in Nigeria here. We can only continue to appeal to our people that they do not post things that could be injurious or that could be very pernicious to people's perception or people's sensibilities, as the case may be. Because actually when this thing broke out on Sunday, what they initially said was that it was a bomb blast in Owo. And I want to commend journalists too, that they did not take it from that angle and begin to write. And this is the reason why journalists must always get to the spot, get to where the action is happening before you begin to.
So it's not about breaking the story first.
It's not about breaking the story. Exactly. So because your newspaper is at stake, your brand is at stake, if you go and break news that is fake or that is not true in its entirety. But let's go beyond and above that, and let us center our focus on this issue. Just like
before you move on, you said quite clearly that they cannot be controlled, because it's that way all over the world. But
Exactly.
Babatokwa was saying that there must be some level of censorship,
yes,
in order to control what gets out there.
The federal government at a point posed a bill to censor what you post on social media, but there was outcry that it was because the government didn't want to liberalize the media space. But to my mind, I believe that yes, there should be a form of responsibility, just like Darcy said. If you post something that is injurious to society, definitely you must pay
For it.
Yes, because let me tell you, there's no sensible media that will publish blood. You see corpses littering the floor. You see this thing on the social media. It is wrong. It offends our sensibilities as humans. So it is high time that government did something about liberalizing. I'm not saying it should not be liberalized, but at least to make sure that whatever you do, whatever you post, whatever you share, you are answerable to those
I can
things.
see it.
in as much as Tokyo wishes that this should be done and could be done, in all practical purposes, it can never be done. The reason why it can never be done is that you have millions of people that hold Android phone. If it were to be a situation whereby we have an organized platform from which people post, you can hold that platform responsible that why did you allow this person to post through your platform? But we have different channels through which you can post. You can use Twitter, you can use Facebook, you can use WhatsApp, use many.
So some people are going to jail for posting like Elias.
It's not as if
I'm saying you cannot be held responsible. You can what you post. Let me tell you, even these handlers have been removing injurious posts from their sites. That is part of,
So perhaps that should serve as, you know, not necessarily clamping down on
what I'm saying is making them responsible. If you post something injurious, Facebook will remove it. If I see something that is injurious, you post, I can report you to the Facebook, and then I like it off. So I think it's part of being responsible. Are you getting it now? Because these things sometimes travel faster than before.
Not sometimes, they travel faster before.
Before newspaper comes out, the version of today will be reported tomorrow.
Yeah.
But social media, online media, bloggers,
Immediacy.
Yes, that's urgency, that's immediacy is there. So that is the point.
I still hold on to the opinion that if you do something that is outrightly injuring a particular person, that person can take you to court.
Sure.
Okay.
They can easily pick you up and say, why did you post a libelous thing against this person?
Sure.
Okay.
But when you post a general thing, for instance, that is not affecting anybody directly at that point in time. There's no way you could be irresponsible. It's just like you waking up now and say that, oh, the whole Ghanaian team that is coming to Nigeria, it seems as if they are not coming again. That is a lie. Who is coming to hold you responsible? Why did you say the Ghanaian team is supposed to come into force?
That's character.
You understand? There are millions of such things. Where do you want to report?
All right, let's move on. So you have your differences regarding that issue. All right, Most Reverend AROGUNDADE also mentioned clearly that many Nigerians at this point, the issue of trust deficit between the governed and the government. Many Nigerians right now believe that one way or another, the federal government is complicit in this whole insecurity issue. Do you share that thought?
Yes, if you listen very attentively to the Lord Bishop and extrapolate from what he was talking about, even if you cannot directly pinpoint that the federal government has been very complicit. There's one thing we call in political science that inaction itself is an action. So when you expect government to live up to its responsibility of safeguarding the lives and property of the citizenry, and they are not doing that, indirectly, you can say the government is complicit. For your information, I think the second chapter of the Nigerian Constitution that has to do with directive principle of state policy and fundamental objectives, it does spell out a lot of rights that Nigerians could enjoy under a democratically elected government, under democracy in the country. But unfortunately, most of these rights are not justiciable. And when you look at some of these rights that are not justiciable, you can say government is complicit in making life not meaningful to Nigerians. For instance, now we all have right to life, right to move, freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and everything. How could somebody come and infringe on your right to life, and the government is seen not to be doing anything other than to come and say that they are on top of the situation, that the perpetrators will be apprehended,
And they
will be condemned, and before you know it, that will end it. In another 1 week or 2 weeks, another thing will come up.
So like him, you do not believe that there's hope that these perpetrators will be brought to book?
Look at the history of many crimes that have been committed in Nigeria. How many of these perpetrators, I do not like profiling, but at the same time people still say a lot of Fulani people are engaged in some of these things, and most of them that have been apprehended, how many of them have been brought before for justice to be served on them? So these are the things that will make a lot of citizens to be apprehensive of the federal government, that are they actually complicit, or they are not directly. But as I said, your inaction itself is an action.
It speaks volume.
It speaks volume. So that is what I can say about that for now.
There's no doubt about it that there's a disconnect between the citizens and the federal government. Why? We have to look at it at this way, just like Daisy said, that government inaction. Look at it. Governors had, because of these incessant attacks, decided to have regional security outfits. The Attorney General and Minister of Justice came up to say it is against the Constitution. What did the governors do? They now reverted to state outfits. So that means they cannot go beyond their states. And most of these criminals, once they commit this crime, they escape to other states, making it easier for them to escape justice. Now, today, 8 days after the attack, we have not seen one single arrest. Who does the arrests? Of course, federal government agencies, security outfits. And nothing has been done. As we speak, that shows that people will lose confidence in the ability of the government to protect them. And this thing can lead to rebellions against the government.
It can lead. Let's hope we never get to that point. That also brings us to the issue of response rate when it comes to crime scenes as well as emergency cases in Nigeria. There were many reports that the police said that they did not have the logistics, operational vehicles to move to the scene of the crime. And there are also so many other reports that are out there. And then we keep saying that we will fight this cause and fight it to a standstill. Does that make sense to you?
To want to cry. I'm saying it. Let me tell you. Where this incident happened, there are more police stations. We have divisional police headquarters. We have area command headed by Assistant Commissioner of Police. But let me tell you, where are the men to man these stations? They are either guiding VIPs. Now, the vehicles that they're supposed to use to respond, where are they? They are on roadblocks. Doing what we call checkpoints.
And sometimes they actually look very unhealthy.
The vehicles. And I have to also blame this police, for instance, in this instance. If you have one car, and it's your own vehicle you are using, the way they use those vehicles is appalling. Let me tell you, some of these vehicles, you give them in 6 months, they become scrap. Why? Because they don't maintain them. Federal government should divest.
Maintenance, is that not also the responsibility of the government?
Let me tell you. That's what I'm saying.
Or you find the usage?
Let me tell you, one usage, that's true maintenance. We have problem in this country. And let me tell you, once something belongs to government, people don't care. It's our own. So if it gets spoiled, and that one will be supplied. Some of us, we have been using cars of more than 10 years, and they are still on the road. Ask how many vehicles given to police are still on the road, even 5 years.
All right.
I think this issue of security, architecture, and of course infrastructures too in Nigeria is a fundamental issue that needs to be looked into very critically and properly. The challenges are multi-layered and multifaceted, if I will use those terminologies. Number one, we have inadequate security personnel in Nigeria. It will interest you to know that the police, the army, the DSS, the NCDC or NSCDC combined together, they are less than 500,000 men as we speak, in a population of over 200 million people. They are less than. So I want to believe that, number one, the federal government may find a way of recruiting more personnel, especially into the police. That the operational materials that they are using, just like Tokyo rightly said now, you could see a helos given to a divisional police station that is covering about 15-20 towns and villages under that division. Although we have some other police posts too, but it would be that operational vehicle alone that is available. They will use these vehicles to patrol all these places under their division, one, at the appropriate time that this vehicle should be maintained, to carry out regular checks, to do what we normally do every month by servicing vehicles. They will not be provided money to do such. They could use engine oil that's supposed to be used for a month. They could use it for 6 months inside that vehicle because of the fact that there's no money to change it. And there's no money that want to use his own personal money to do it.
If there is money, I have to look at that.
When there is money, the tendencies for these people to put this money into their private pockets is very rife at the same time. So these are many factors that have made our police not to be able to perform up to expectation. And again, we need to look at their remuneration. I still want to believe that the Nigerian police is underpaid, given the enormity of task they are doing or given to them by government. That we need to look at life insurance for them. Do they actually have this in line of duty? If they are felled by armed robbers' bullets, God forbid, I mean, what happens to their immediate family? So you see a lot of policemen, even if they hear that there are devil armed robbers operating in a particular place, they will stylishly delay so that those people
if the operational vehicles
are there, because they will not, even from where they are, they could be hearing the gunshot as they are boomeranging, and they may just say their own firepower may not be able to match up with those ones. They will stylishly delay and let those people go before they show up. That has always been the case. But above and beyond, I believe government has the utmost responsibility to make sure that the police are well kitted, that they are well motivated, operational vehicles, given to them, and a lot of personnel recruited into the force. As Dr. said, you see many police officers, close to 20% of them are attached to VIPs. Local government chairmen, some councillors even have police. A lot of people have taken this police from the pool where they are, where they could be used to fight crime, into their own personal domain to be guiding them, their children and their wives at home. You will see a VIP traveling to Lagos from Akure, from Benin, from anywhere. You will see 5 policemen attached to one VIP and escorting that VIP to Lagos. For what? So these are the challenges that we have about managing the security architecture and the infrastructure, especially the infrastructure. Because if we do not find a way of making sure that all these things work, we will continue to face all the challenges we are facing security-wise in Nigeria. So that is what I can say.
I need some adjustment to what you said. We have more than 500 security agencies. When we are talking of security agencies, we are talking of the army, we are talking of the police, we are talking of the civil defense, we are talking of so when we add all this, we have over 1 million. But even at that, they are still inadequate. That is one. Then another one is that the federal government need to make sure that the issue of security is not on the exclusive list of the federal government. If I can assure you that, assuming that Amatekun of Ondo State has such weapons, they will go after these criminals, these terrorists, because they are well motivated. They are doing more than some of the security agencies. That is another thing. Then another one is that we have many security agencies having the same duplicating responsibilities. Now we have soldiers on the roadblock. We have police also on the roadblock. We have civil defense on the roadblock. So when we look at this, why can't we just have one security agency on the road and allow other people to do other things? Are you getting my point? So if we don't have duplicates, we are not duplicating duties, then there will be one way to tackle insecurity. If we want to have VIP guard, let us leave it for NCDC. Let them do that. Let policemen do other things. If it's to guide critical government infrastructures, let us know that only one set of security does that. In the place we have soldiers, police, security, army, everybody will be in that place instead of just allowing one security outfit to be there. So if we do that, definitely we have more men. That is not to rule out the fact that we need more security personnel in all these outfits.
And some will even say to you that those who are on the roadblocks, what exactly are they doing on those roadblocks? You can see something?
Yes, the 1 million, over 1 million that Tokwe mentioned, I think you have to go and look at the statistics again.
And we do not have the exact statistics right now.
Because they are saying that they are not up to that.
But I'm not saying just police, so I said,
they are not up to 1 million.
They are up to.
They are not up to.
Well,
that's talking about the
we've talked about infrastructure deficits. We've talked about the handling in terms of maintenance, of this personnel and all that. Now let's talk about the place of intelligence gathering.
Yes.
We know that before the Kaduna train attack happened, the Kaduna State Governor said he got intel and he made it available to the security agencies, and yet nothing was done about it until it happened eventually. And up until now, sadly, we still have some people who were abducted and they're still in captivity, while all of the election frenzy is going on at the moment. Now, for this one that happened here, we're not even sure if there was any form of intel. We've not heard any report from the police or security agencies to say whether or not they got intel. But what is the place of intelligence gathering? And then what's the relation? Because the police, the security agencies cannot work on their own. That's the sincere truth.
Thank you so much, Obi, for this very critical question. The way we have been managing our security in Nigeria is reactionary. We have never been proactive in managing security. That is just the plain truth. And if you want to be proactive in managing your security very well, the place of intelligence gathering can never be overemphasized and can never be pushed to the back door. I believe we have the Department of State Security, DSS, but where do you see the DSS today? You see them in different governors' offices and places where they are VIPs, looking after VIPs. The main job of DSS is purely intelligence gathering. It's purely intelligence gathering. And there must be complementary effort between the police, the DSS, the civil defense, and what have you. But today, as we speak, military intelligence, as we are speaking now, because of interprofessional rivalry between them, they hardly share intelligence information amongst themselves. Only God knows why this is like that. Maybe because some forces are seen themselves as superior to others and all whatnot. If there had been intelligence gathering, most of the crimes that we see in Nigeria that occur wouldn't have occurred in the first instance, because people that are going to perpetrate one crime or the other, they will discuss before they do that. And it will interest you to know that these people are not so very intelligent. I mean, the perpetrators too. Some of them are ragtag guys. They will have discussed it in beer parlor such that one could have picked up information. But if you go and report in any police station or in any security outfit, they will not know that they have to circumvent that by moving ahead to go and block what those people want to do, or to bust the crime right there when it has never even been carried out. So evil perpetrators, by the time they say that whenever they are planning to unleash a kind of mayhem or any evil against people, they are busted, they will not want to do that again, because the fear, the perpetual fear will be there that they could be apprehended. So intelligence gathering is very vital. When you look at the US, you have different agencies, apart from the Central Intelligence Agency, that are scooping information everywhere ahead. This is what we call surveillance. Journalists too do it if they are well remunerated. These are surveillance functions that different agencies, different functions, different organs of government play to nip criminal activities of the men of the underworld in the bud before they are even carried out. But we are not seeing such. And again, if we are not seeing such, we need to be asking questions. Why are we not seeing such? Number one, resources are not made available to do that. If I'm a policeman, for instance, and somebody comes to report that something is likely to happen in Ilaje or in Akoko area, and my own division is here, if I want to be patriotic and be professional in my job, the next thing I will do is to call a colleague in Akoko that somebody alerted us about this. That discussion alone could waste 1,000 naira credit card, credit card. But for the fact that you don't have the resources to do that, even if you hear that they are going to attack a particular place in a place that is far from your own area, you just pray for that. God help them wherever they are. It's not as if some of these security outfits too are not hearing information. They do. People still supply information to them. But for them to be able to process this information, to be able to carry a kind of move to circumvent that, the resources are not there. So these are the challenges that we face. And we believe that all stakeholders, government, must come to the rescue of security agents and agencies for us to nip all this one in the bud.
Still talking about this Owo attack, there are so many conspiracy theories, flying around at the moment, doing the rounds everywhere. Some are saying that there's a link, between that attack and the governor of Ondo State, Arakunrin. Like you heard Most Reverend AROGUNDADE compliment and commend him that he's been doing quite a lot regarding the security of lives and property, not just in Ondo State, but beyond the shores of Ondo State, talking about the Southwest and beyond. And, it's as if this was a kind of confrontational, trying to send a message one way or another to him, because, especially because he's also been, clamoring for power shift to the South. JUDE.
Yoruba people say, Ajekelano, Omokuleni, that is, which cried yesterday, the child dies today. So who does not know that the child, the witch that cried yesterday is responsible for the death of that child? Yes, to a large extent, I will agree with it. And I will now look at what happened in Kaduna State. We look at the two governors, their dispositions to security issues. El-Rufai said that there was no need to negotiate with these bandits, with these criminals. And what happened? They turned that state to theater of war, and a real war zone that nearly every week you hear one attack or the other. It peaked when they attacked the train, and after that other pockets of attack. Now, coming back to our state, the governor has been vociferous about devolution of power. Power shifts. That power shift, yes, is to political advantage. But this devolution of power is to everybody. And look at it, it happened on the eve of APC's primary. And shortly after that, the national chairman announced a consensus candidate. When that incident happened, so I think I want to subscribe to what Reverend JUDE said, that there were conspiracy theories around this thing. And when you look at it, I'm not saying other Amotekun calls are not working in
as much of
other states. But I know that of Ondo State, that you see them arresting bandits, going around. Presently, they are even recruiting. That means they want to reinforce their activities. So maybe it is like that. I'm not a security expert, so I can't say. The truth, I can't be emphatic, but the truth of the matter is that it's just to say it will be so difficult for you to say it is not like that, because it is too coincident. Too coincident.
So it's not coincidental. Okay.
I think that issue is a very sensitive issue. To link it directly to the federal government or to the authorities.
No, I didn't link it to the federal government.
Okay.
I said there are the coincidence are just too striking.
Yes, let
us linking the authorities to it. I said, because I know that
the eve of the primary and it's happening
came on the eve of the primaries. The governor was in Abuja. He had to run back, distracting him from what's supposed to happen. I said there are incidences that show that it could be. I didn't say
okay.
Yes. What I said.
Okay. There are many conspiracy theories to a crime like this, and as a matter of fact, my first reaction when I heard this incident on Sunday was that, oh, the vampires are here again. The vampires sucking blood are finally everywhere in Nigeria, and that we are finally at that point where Thomas Hope, described the Hobbesian state of nature where life is nasty, brutish, and short. That we are finally here. We talked about the inaction of government over the years in Nigeria and over very many previous attacks that have been carried out, and government is not doing anything. When you look at the statement of Reverend Jude AROGUNDADE, it's not far from making the government not to be able to exonerate itself, even from what happened. We are not running away from that fact. But what I want to say now is there are 1,001 possibilities that could have led to that attack. But the onus is on the federal government to have been seen to be taking proactive measures to make sure that incidents like that don't happen in any part of Nigeria. Look at what is happening in the southeast, almost on a daily basis. Who do you hold responsible? This is where intelligence gathering comes into place. This is where actions from the federal government to nip all these things in the bud come into place. And if we want to expand the scope of this conversation, we will now begin to look at the issue of constitutional provision as far as security is concerned. This thing could not be vested in the federal government alone. A situation whereby you have 68 items on the exclusive list is barbaric.
Including security.
Including security in any federation. So there must be devolution of power, which Governor Keredolu had been fighting for even before he became governor of this state. He had been a champion, an advocate of devolution of power so that we run a proper federalism in Nigeria, whereby both the state and the federal government could legislate on matter of security, for instance. Now, when Amateku was about to be floated, we know the role that the Attorney General of this country played in wanting to make sure that that outfit never saw the light of the day. But eventually, with the vociferousness of the governor of this state and his brothers, they were able to float that outfit. But it is not floating that outfit alone that people of this state and people of many states in the southwest and of course in different parts of Nigeria are expecting. We are expecting a security outfit that will be able to carry very sophisticated weapons that could counter whatever move that the insurgents or criminal elements in the society are making. We are not seeing that. If for many quarters they wanted to embarrass the governor of the state by coming to Owo to come and carry out that dastardly act, they should know that with time, it is not only the governor that will be mounting this. And it is a challenge to all the governors in Nigeria to begin to call for devolution of power so that they can manage their own security. So if all the governors are doing it, who would they want to say they want to go and embarrass by attacking his citizens? It's only God that knows where this thing came from. But the pattern that I saw on Sunday is different from a pattern of people coming to abduct people for ransom. It's a different pattern entirely that does not look like any of the patterns we're used to. What was their motive? What was their intention? What message were they trying to pass across? They didn't adopt anybody.
Yes.
So, and they just came and cried and went away. So these are the things that we will see and begin to see that it may be difficult to actually ascertain who sent them. We have the Boko Haram, we have ISIS, we have Al-Shabaab, we have many different cells of people that are doing nefarious activities all around the world. So it is intelligence gathering that will make us to be able to know who were responsible for what happened, and in order to name in the board such that such can never happen in the country again. And this is where federal government must come in and show the rest of the world that they are equal to the task and they are on top of the game and they are sincere about making life and property of Nigerians secured.
In addendum to that, Reverend Owo said something that Nigerians, our forces have gone to other countries.
And they've done well.
We went to Liberia, we went to Sudan, we went to Afghanistan, we went to other countries to maintain peace. And we did well. Why is it difficult
to maintain
peace in our land? It's a $1 billion question.
A $1 billion question. Finally, before I let you go, he said also that they have written many letters to the international community. Many other groups as well in the country have cried out for help. How does this, present us in the light, of our communications and relations with the international community, and of course, the fact that we are supposedly a sovereign nation?
Let me tell you, every nation seek help. Ukraine, when he wanted to fight Russia, sought NATO's assistance, and they offered it. It is not a shame to say, please come to my aid. After all, other countries sought our assistance when they needed us. So it's not a shame to say we are requesting for help. Let me tell you, our weapons that we use, which one do we produce in Nigeria? All are imported, including the bullets are imported. So if we now go to them to say, please assist us, there's no crime. It does not impede our sovereignty as a nation.
Yes, Reverend Jude AROGUNDADE did say that Nigeria is a regional power. In its potency, I want to believe that should be in the past.
Maybe in the paper, on paper.
Maybe on paper. Nigeria has ceased to be a regional power, perhaps since the military era, when the military was still in government. The truth of the matter now is that there is no nation that can live in isolation. There is no nation that is an island unto itself. Everybody depends on another person. Even the mighty American military-industrial complex depends on NATO and many other allies all around the world. I've always maintained this position that if we cannot fight this battle, let us beckon on international community. Beckoning on international community is not a shame.
It is not a shame.
It is to get what we want from them. And again, we must do a convocation of national emergency on insecurity in this country. Until we
Many thanks.
We are not going
Thank you so much, gentlemen, Babatope Okeowo and Daisy Adetoremi, for coming on the program again and doing justice to our focus for today.
Thank you very much.
We can only hope that we will never see a repeat of this incident. Not in Ondo State, not in any part of the entire country. And we say, may the souls of the departed rest in peace. Till I come your way same time next week, I'm Obi Chukwemeka Oti. Bye for now.